Yeah. Vainglorious Vanguard.
Knowledge born.
Yeah.
United Front. What you want?
To the Knowledge Radio.
We in here. What you got? Dot.
Work hard as a slave to one day be your savior. The wave unwavering. This is a labor of love. Rise with a purpose every day. Invigorated. If we were on TV, we'd be 10 times syndicated. If we waited for validation, a paycheck or accolades, we'd be starved, already lost or ran away. But when you're square solid and your circle too, you don't need a place for silence. The concept is conquered through media, not areas of people activity. A mix that don't lose ethnicity, tightness that don't lose elasticity. Explicitly, this isn't where we give the novice regard. Nah, this is where knowledge is born. Last time that I checked, I'm undefeated. Deliver edicts, can't resist when the gods build and manifest freedom. When lines get crossed, they may push a loss, cause they get handed a check. We kick a can and cancel your cancerous gestures. A prophet vision, precision, the prescription for the sickness is to inoculate your fate with the winning. Arrogant beginnings turn to humble endings. And US with KBA is a win-win. 1K.
Yo, peace and black power. It's your brother Knowledge Born Alive. Do the Knowledge Radio. The place where knowledge is born.
Knowledge Radio.
This is 3K.
Think tank.
This is 3K.
Hey.
This is 3K.
I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. Who ducked, who drew down, return fire. We're the warriors, the healers, enlighteners, enlighten us. I'm tired of the same old, that game old with an upgrade. I'm a sunbathe in the sun rays while my guns blaze and they complain. Devil my level not attainable. My metal not malleable. I'm a man, didn't need that manual. Reparations is incalculable. Yeah, we wanted in blood, dead in the begging, head in the beheading, metal to the meddling. Members is aggressive, getting to the Armageddon. Karma, seem calmer when it comes to retribution. Caliber, catalyst in my clips and I use them on traitors and haters and the ones that spread confusion. Cause the devil's playground wasn't built for our amusement. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days. You gon' need a strong counter, spin like Beyblade. Impenetrable armor, Orient aura. This story, this saga get gory before it get calmer. Keep holding that revolutionary posture. 85 gon' dip and dodger, but when they get monster, they turn into MC like earrings and become door knockers. I'm irate, they pirate the culture, send them to Davy Jones' locker. It's okay. Let them think that you lost it. Be patient, this type of thing you can't force it. Play possum, but not know out the road. Then they can't comprehend cause the language is coded. We plan ideas and we plan explosives. Make your pockets go from more bits or more bread. The portal done open, they can't close it. You ain't got a sideline, you can cause more risk. No set birth date, no Dorian Gray portraits. It's about to get ugly and these devils can't forfeit ancestral memories, so no, I won't forget. What we building is an impenetrable fortress for sure. Every show is just like a course ship, and my flow for sure tighter than your gal's corset. It's okay. We are the source, you can't outsource it. Even Spartans don't want no parts, Neff. What do you know? Before you know it, 3,000 wild Africans at your doorstep. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. No, we will not cower while the rest they play safe. We will move with God's power. This is not for play. Honor my ancestors, play the Orient day. Peace to you, loved ones, stay dangerous and stay safe. AKAs and AKs coming to make their caves cave. Wreck the race like take case, stay dangerous and stay safe.
Alright, peace and black power family. Welcome to another episode of Knowledge Radio, a place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born Alive, and we repping, okay? We got Urban. Our Urban is excellent. Okay, we repping urban excellence up in here. You understand what I'm saying?
Fire.
Okay, we repping urban excellence up in here today. I tell y'all about 7 years ago, I made a decision to push my chips in. And begin to look at our dynamic in a way where we could actually have a sacred space of celebration for Black people, for the excellence that we provide. Oftentimes, we see the capitalization, but not the celebration. So I went to my elder. You understand? I got on one knee. He backed me in the forehead. He said, "Go ahead, young grasshopper. Go forth and be great." So 3,000 episodes or so before, I came with a research question, and it was, what is consciousness? So my elder agreed to be the first guest on Do the Knowledge Radio. So 3,000 episodes and more later, we back here again with another research question. We seen them go around the world. We seen them not have to travel around the world to travel around the world now. So many aspects and application. So we're here to confront a research question that's very near and dear to my heart. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, our mystical hip hop mystorian in the building. You understand what I'm saying? The gatherer together for us to express our excellence in our urban form. My brother, mentor, the God, urban excellence own, the Black Dot is in the building.
Please. Thank you for such a great introduction, and always humble to sit down with the people I respect and the people I love dearly and have an exchange of ideas, of energy, you know what I'm saying, on what's dear to us. People get confused with rap industry and hip hop culture. And so we're here to stand about and talk about hip hop culture. We'll make mention of the industry as needed, of course, because the youth are enamored by shining things. But we, the elders, understand that everything that shines is not gold. And that's why these conversations are necessary and needed.
Definitely. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to be able to peel back the layers, because this isn't a research question that's loaded. It's a research question that could begin a larger conversation, because we have a grave conversation, a big one that's out there around the topic of reparations. I wanted to break them down in actionable spaces. Just even using the term has become convoluted, as you know, over the years.
Right.
But there's two things currently that confront the Black community that's up. Slavery's on the ballot in 5 states, encompassed by 25 other states that have some kind of language. So that's at least 30 out of 50 states. And reparations is up. And with the primaries going on and things like that, these are aspects for us to delve into, but we delve into them like hip hop, because hip hop is the culture, but hip hop began as a story. So that art is storytelling. So what stories are being told nowadays? So I wanted to get your take on this research question. When we look at the hip hop industry, the research question is, does the hip hop industry owe Black people reparations? So I yield the floor and ask subsequent questions as we begin to peel back the onion.
Yeah, when you posed this question to me last night or a few nights ago, I had to really take it in, because one of our pioneers, Almighty KG of the legendary Cold Crush Brothers, he asked the same question, but in a different formality. Like, he said, it's reparations. And the term stuck with me. And so reparations, reparations, because you know how hip hop is. We have to make something our own so that we can immediately identify with it. So if I say reparations, it's just a spin on words to make something more hip hop and more within the vibration in which our people could understand. And that becomes coded because just using the term reparations may have young people inquiring about just how deep the rabbit hole goes and what's owed to us. So I'm going to start this conversation here. When we speak about culture, or we speak about the cultivating of something, I want you all to go back to that third grade where you first planted your first seed in that little, plant, and it was a part of a project. And we planted a seed and we waited, so nothing really happened for a while. And so I'm going to correlate hip hop to that. So what happens is we waited, we got along, doing what we was doing. And that seed that was planted was the civil rights movement. That seed that was planted was what came before us, the soul music and all of them things, and our fight for freedom. That was the seed that was planted. The first sprouting of anything, when you came into class that one day and there was something there, wow, you were excited, you were joyous, you were happy. So let's say the first stages of hip hop, we were partying, which is true. So because we were watching the first sprouting of something that we had planted, and so we were happy. There were no branches yet. There was no tree bark. There was no trunk. There was no fruit of the labor. That's the end result of something that is planted. So when I spoke about academics, I was trying to show him, when he called us dusty, that the tree trunk would never call the seed dusty, because the tree trunk understands it all comes from the seed. So, and I also gave him a scenario in which those who pick the fruit off the tree and go to market to sell it, right? They may not even be connected to the tree itself. They're just looking for a financial gain. But each and every branch has the potential for the tree to grow and grow and grow. And then I threw a shot at him and said, well, perhaps he is from a seed or an apple or a fruit that was seedless, because he is of GMO. He wasn't cut from the cloth. And I say all of that to say, when we look at the cultivation of hip hop now in the stages that it is in, I want to use the 9 areas of people activity to kind of tie that all into it. So we're talking economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And I would like to shout out my brother Siddiqui Bakari, who added technology. So now we have a 10th area of people activity. If hip hop was left alone, by 50 years now, we would be exercising each one of these people activities on our own and reaping all of the benefits. My elders told me that there was not only one law, but one of the laws that you cannot break is you cannot impede on somebody's spiritual path. That is a cosmic law, not a man-made law. So whoever is on their path, they have to be able to develop on their own. Now, these devils understand this, and they also understand that in this realm, there's a realm of choice. Now, there are hacks in that, because as let's refer to the Matrix movie, when the Merovingian told Neo there's choice is an illusion between those with power and those without. So the universe itself, the way it is structured, is very technical. So if you say that you are a loser, you are correct. If you say that you are a winner, you are correct. The universe will conspire based off the energy you put forth to manipulate the matter in your circumference to make either one of them correct. The universe don't give a shit. And the universe has no reference for time or space. So you can't say things like, I'm going to be successful one day, because the universe cannot comprehend what one day is. You have to say, I am successful right now. And then things begin to open for you. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because these record labels, you know what I mean, and them understand these laws. They have to put the truth out, but it doesn't say how they have to put the truth out. So each and every one of these movies that you think are science fiction are actually science fact. And a lot of these books, they put this information in, so they're not breaking cosmic law. They're just not laying it on the table where each and every person can understand it. And if I give you two candidates, one Republican and one Democrat, and you in your mindset think that you actually have a choice, but little do you know I own both candidates. So wherever this thing goes, I'm going to win. So I'm laying all that to say this. Record companies know and understand what hip hop is and supposed to be at this present moment in its development. We are supposed to be looking at it economically, right? We're supposed to be able to feed ourselves, which hip hop has a lot of jobs, not just the rapper and the artist, but the graphics designer, the videographer, the editor, the manager, the road manager, the stage manager, the light, the educators. So hip hop can economically sustain itself if left alone. Education, I learned so much through Public Enemy, KRS-One, and all of the ones who came with a mission to educate us about our past, our future, and our present. And even Rakim said, you are God. You know, keep staring. Soon you suddenly see a star. You better follow it because it's the R. So we were able to even move beyond Earth's atmosphere into the so-called unknown. Entertainment, we got that part sewed down. We're going to put on a great show, which would lead to the economics, which would edutainment, which would lead to teaching. Labor, as we spoke about, the jobs that are available, through how we cultivate people and teach them how to function within hip hop, because everything is hip hop, especially nowadays. It's a $1 trillion industry. Law, stop snitching. We had our street laws, and you had to be down by law to even participate in hip hop, which means you understood the culture, the language, the way, the walk, the music, the talk, the dress, and you had your own unique style. And that's where the term down by law came from. Politics, as you see what Russell Simmons tried to do with the Hip Hop Action Network, and Puffy tried to create a network. But why? Because anything that can galvanize our people, right, can be beneficial. Now, if all of the hip hop community gathered together and said, we are endorsing this candidate, but this candidate is now being held accountable, and we put money behind that, because remember, this is about lobbying, not about begging. Putting money in the position is going to give us what we need to get things done. Religion, hip hop there is no set religion. We understand that the nation of gods and earths came along initially to let us know who we was, but you could be Christian, Buddhist, monk. If you love hip hop and you demonstrate hip hop, then it's for you. So that was the great thing about hip hop. You come as you are, but you respect the laws and ways that have been put down. Sex, as we know, is a component in which we continue to move forward, grow our babies, grow the hip hop nation, make the hip hop nation infinite. War, meaning there were warriors amongst us in hip hop. We call them gangsters and this and that, and real gangsters move in silence. Every people has to have a portion of their community that ain't having it, and they're here to protect the men, the women, and the women and the children in particular. So that's where we get our warriors from. But if our warriors don't understand who the open enemy is, we wind up staging war on each other and technology, which is where this thing is going now. And hip hop has the ability to adjust and be swift and changeable. So even when the 9 or 10 people areas of people activity, if someone has co-opted that in any way, shape, form, or fashion, And they have, because I just demonstrated if we were left alone what we could do, but take those same 10 and apply it to how it's being used now, which is the reverse energy and polarity. The sex is perverted. We don't have a true political base. We're not the ones really making the money besides a few individuals. And what you have is a people who have co-opted and corrupted and impeded on our spiritual path without technically doing it, because you made the choice to sign your name or sign your nature, as the God would say, into these weird contracts. So technically, it was by choice. It's almost like 2 years ago, they didn't force people to do that thing, but the line was around the corner, but they added the hack by saying you can't work at our establishment or you can't come in our establishment. So they put a little hack in it, but technically you were on them lines because you chose to. So when we ask the question, are we owed reparations or reparations? Absolutely. But we are going to be the ones to look in the mirror and also say we're culpable for what has happened, because this is the realm of choice. And because somebody gave us a few pieces of silver and they didn't allow us to mature on our own, we find ourselves in the situation that we are currently in.
Ooh. Man, I wanted to stay there because the buzzwords like culpable, like accountability, I wanted to know from you as being a participant, not just a spectator in the industry. For instance, many of our favorite MCs, favorite rappers, quote unquote, were children entering into those contracts. So the level of culpability by law, where is that shared? Were the children signing contracts or were their parents signing contracts? Did they know what they were entering into? Can we look at that? Because putting this research question out there, some of the first feedback I got was in specific to contract. So I'm asking from that perspective, and I'll go from there.
Well, ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? So now I understand, because I was there. I signed my contract at 19 years old. I wasn't looking at the business aspect. I wanted to hear my record on the radio. So they took full advantage of our ignorance, and signed us to these pituitary contracts, which mean forever, in that weird archaic language that they use to trap you. You know what I mean? So I don't put full blame on teenagers, because teenagers are doing what they do, especially when you add in the economic and social environment in which they came from. So when your ribs are touching, your clarity is blurred. You know what I mean? Even to this day, I can get those who are hungry to do things to make them other than themselves. So we, as a people, we've lost empathy for humanity and understanding things, because everything is cut and dry now, and you should have did this and you should have did that. I can't blame those who were on a slave plantation who knew nothing of anything beyond, because they were in a foreign land or under weird conditions in which they were traumatized by torture, for them not being as sharp as. It's always easy to look back and say what you woulda, coulda did, because 20 years from now, there's going to be a generation to say, wait a minute, you stood in line to do what? Right? So we understand it's easier, but when you're in the moment and someone is offering you an opportunity to maybe make more money than even your father was making, if he was in your life, or young men in particular, even if your father wasn't around, you watching your mother struggle is something that never leaves Black men, at least of my generation. You know, a lot of our moms had 2 and 3 jobs just to keep food on the table because of the absence of male presence. And that led to us running the streets, bonding together, creating gangs, or creating camaraderie amongst ourselves. But our only goal in life was to make our mothers proud, or if we ran into some money, the very first person we were going to take care of our mothers. Even if you was in the drug game, you took care of your mother. So when these record labels came with these bells and whistles and shiny opportunities to take your art, something you love to do anyway, to the next level, and maybe gave you a $25,000 advance, at that time, all bets is off. And if he gonna get it, I'm better than him. Let me go get it. And then, so the Sugar Hill Gang record, because we didn't stamp Sugar Hill, you know what I mean? They almost emerged out of nowhere. And we know they took Grandmaster Caz's rhyme and this and that. But when they came out on a Sugar Hill Records, prior to that, no one in these pioneers were not even thinking about that. I just did an interview, with Almighty KG of the Cold Crush Brothers. I'll air that soon. And they were doing 3 and 4 shows a night with no record deal. They were the hottest group out because Flash had started touring with one of those main groups because they had the message out. And they said they was doing, 4 and 5 shows a night. You know what I'm saying? Them and Fantastic Five, they weren't even thinking about a record. And when they heard the Sugar Hill Gang, and then that they were on Soul Train, and they said, well, we're the true pioneers of this art form. And then everyone followed suit, Curtis Blow, and everybody started getting record deals, and one thing led to another. Anytime you enter into something for the first time, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get beat. You know what I mean? Because you are setting the ways in a new paradigm for what's to come. And every generation after, we got a little bit more, a little bit. LL said 6 G's for 30 minutes is the pay I earn. So it started getting a little bit better with Rakim and Karis, one of them. They started, touring a little bit more, the Fresh Fest tour. So more money was coming in. But remember, these devils are 2 and 3 steps ahead in understanding how this thing works and how to ensure that they are always going to get the lion's share. And it didn't start with hip hop. It goes all the way back to rock, soul, and every genre that we created before that.
I think that's wonderful. So again, I'm looking just at analysis. We love Nas. Nas is in everybody's top 5 dead or alive. Nas was like, special. Just look at this. This was a grown man's game with children being actively sought after and recruited. You see what I'm saying? Sought after and recruited. Just like, they was going to Rucker Park and snatching cats up. You understand what I'm saying? So whatever the game is, it becomes a different type of situation and lens where you're looking at what's affected by hip hop in the hip hop industry versus hip hop being self-contained, as you stated. If it was just left alone, the natural evolution process going through those 9 to 10 areas of people activity, it would have touched. But this usurping and a sense to control programs, hacking programs type situation, because as you taught us and as we learned over the years, hip hop came out of lack of musical instruments, the removing of it. You see what I'm saying? So in a space of lack, we begin to, you understand what I'm saying? So just automatically, out of that need for the heartbeat, you see what I'm saying? For that, sun space, that shine, all of these things that are there, we see this. You see what I'm saying? So in a deficit, in a decrepit type of space that we in, there was still an outcry. So there was still a way to make these things palatable. However, when you're using hip hop to sell everything now, there's not an area in life where hip hop isn't infused, unlike the previous genres before it. There may have been some rock influence and a lot of things that were happening with your personal activity, the parties and things like that. But hip hop has found its way into every facet of society, being used and weaponized to to move the corporate power structure. So how do we now look at it on one side and saying we're using hip hop to sell everything, and then we have the other element to where now we're using hip hop to lock up everything. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's
Absolutely.
another component right there. So I'm just looking at it critically, and I would love your thoughts. You see what I'm saying on this multi-billion-dollar industry, because we got billionaire rappers, but we also got brothers and sisters locked up and killed behind rap records. So where do we, share in this space of accountability and acknowledgement for where we are?
Great question. And what I want to start with by saying is revolution begins with youth. All right. When we think about the uprising in South Africa, people don't realize that 80% or 90% of the uprising were by 18 and younger youth. So we have elders for counsel, younger men for war. Coming out of the civil rights movement, like you said, these voids were filled, and they were filled with our energy to manifest. One of the ways they've usurped or reversed that energy now is they have shown us a surplus or the appearance of a surplus of everything. Like you said, hip hop is selling everything. So we don't feel innately the need to create anything. So they show us a few billionaires around. They show a few artists flashing money. And that image is a part of the inception to make you think we've made it. But we haven't. It's all an illusion so that we don't feel the lack of anything, because we seeing around, everybody has made it. And when everybody has made it, King's disease kicks in because we overindulge. Shout out the new album coming by Nas, right? King's disease. So we overindulge even in our thought process with social media. It's all lending to plentiful or the appearance of plentiful. Meanwhile, the action and pursuit of materialistic things, there are potholes set in place to trap those who are not the true initiates and understand how to navigate through that. So the prison systems are filled with those trying to follow the blueprint, pun intended. You know what I mean? So understanding that prisons are privatized and that the prison system is the new form of slavery. There are more Black men in prisons that were in slavery. So when we start talking reparations for slavery, it's still connected because there are so many brothers. And now they're using what is our greatest attribute, or one of our greatest attributes, the culture, to create and manifest things out of nothing against us. You know what I mean? Because our only full attention is to direct it toward the material manifestation of things, when this culture was bestowed upon us for so much more that it could have been used for. And so now these devils have found ways to create the environment needed, all the studio time you need, all the drugs you need, all the women you need, so that we can, it creates the environment so we can continue the magic, but the magic of a detrimental vibration, because all we're talking about is things of a lower vibration. Keep staring, soon you suddenly see a star. You better follow it. That was in 88 or 89. So just think about a reference point from there if we'd have been left alone, what we would be talking about collectively now, and we will be so far removed from just the material aspects of life here. But we're self-creating our own prison because we're writing our own code now, and every young talented artist, whether he knows it or she knows it or not, is taking us further and further down in the guise that we're doing better because they're hitting you with something fiat money that has got you confused. So this is where we are currently at, missing the point that the magic is to take us beyond that. Once we are left alone in our magical state, not only can we manifest money, we can manifest love, we can manifest homes, we can manifest unity, we can manifest anything and everything that we want. We can manifest peace on this planet. You know what I mean? If left in our natural state, but that's counterproductive for those who become the gatekeepers and align themselves to take full advantage of how magical we are.
So in that first tier of people activity, we got education, economics, and entertainment. Economics and education got swallowed up into entertainment. Labor law and politics got swallowed up into entertainment. Religion, sex, and war got swallowed up into entertainment. Technology got swallowed up into entertainment. We look at the entertainment industry, and one of the things I was looking at was wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we looked at the movie industry, things like that. I was like, there was no further, next to hip hop, there was not a greater pull for us as young people, indiscriminate, than wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in the 5th grade and my teacher said, hey, wrestling was fake. You understand? And we looking at him like, you got to be kidding me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they carrying people out on stretchers and all that.
Right.
And he said, have you ever been to a wrestling match? And we like, what you talking? Like, no, we seen it on TV. We don't have no money. What are you talking about? Like, you see what I'm saying? So he bought us in a ticket. And we read the fine print on the ticket. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
So he broke it down to us, and we like, oh, okay. That did not stop us from wrestling, watching wrestling, and wanting to become wrestlers, quote unquote. You see what I'm saying? No different than the kung fu flicks we watched when we was children.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? But the entertainment industry and the entertainment value of wrestling as a professional sport had the same type of usurping power as hip hop.
Yes.
So the people who wanted to be Rakim, before they wanted to be Rakim, they wanted to be Hulk Hogan, they wanted to be Warrior.
And that's why Griselda was so powerful, because they mixed it. Right. You know what I'm saying? They honor a lot of the wrestlers through hip hop, the way Wu-Tang honored the kung fu, through their hip hop. They merged the two, exactly.
And as further evidence to demonstrate this, you looking at it, you saw the former president on wrestling. You see the hip hop artists on wrestling, the wrestlers. You see what I'm saying? You saw Mike Tyson on wrestling. You see what I'm saying? So there's some kind of through line, because I don't really be getting into all of the extra stuff because everything sounds like conspiracy, but they were on wrestling. You see what I'm saying? Like, they had some kind of through line where they went through this aspect of it, and this is, it has a hold on the world space. You see what I'm saying? Like, we know about Iran. If we thinking about Iran when we were little, we was thinking about the Iron Sheik. We wasn't thinking about the actual place.
That
you
is
see
correct.
what I'm saying? So when we put that together, Canada, we start talk about Britain and the British Bulldog. all of these things were a frame of reference, and they found a way to create reality TV in a fashion to where everything looks fake. You know,
Yes.
we just had a campaign of fake news. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
so all of these false expectations appearing real. So the fear template and the fake template and then the deep fake, you putting all of this stuff together to where they're doing this, and they got the Black Mirror type of situation going on. When I said when Hulk Hogan transitions, they're gonna have Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant consciousness wrestling holographically, like they can just pull anybody the fuck up in front of you, like, oh nah, Tupac ain't dead. I just seen this concert last night.
Right.
With the bots and all of that. They had a robot that they signed to a record deal. Like, so there's so many layers to where the entertainment industry as a whole is there, but then hip hop in specific. Like they had a guy, John Cena. You couldn't tell me this wasn't no rap dude. You understand what I'm saying? Like, exactly. So like they put this all together. Like I was like, I look at The Rock, and then I was like, damn, Barack was talking like The Rock during his campaign trail and talking that shit in the way The Rock did, all the way down to the nose and
brush the shoulder off.
Right. I was like, there was so many things there, and then like most recently with the whole situation with the vice president with Kamala Harris. I was like, Kamala from wrestling. Let me go look up Kamala from wrestling. Kamala from wrestling's name is Michael Harris. I said, oh shit. So we did get a Kamala Harris. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. Like I was like, so this is bugged out in this space where they're showing these things kind of intertwined, you know, with it. And I'm just looking at it like, okay, this entertainment industry really had usurped, because we're looking at technology like, bam, I'm like, nah, entertainment really sucked up everything in its path. And now we're looking at a way forward to kind of navigate. You see what I'm saying? So in this space, what would be your particular, you know, words of wisdom in navigating the entertainment industry, because it's all encompassed?
No, that is you laid that out perfectly, because this is why people don't take nothing serious no more. Anytime anything happens, no matter how tragic it appears, there's a function of people who are going to put up memes, who are going to, because they have been so conditioned to think everything is a joke. This is by design, so that while we continue to entertain ourselves with wine and chariots as in a great Rome, they can continue to empower us or stay in power, and we don't even mind anymore, because the entertainment is so multifaceted. And to the point, like I said, I've seen some serious situations, and people are making memes and partying and making jokes about it, and it makes you question all of this reality. So are we in a video game, so to speak, a sort of matrix on a grid line? And we are not supposed to take this serious, because our elders taught us there was so much more than this. You know what I mean? And now maybe the so-called ignorant, you know, there's a spiritual vibration in that, because they just don't care. And maybe the ones of us who care are placing too much stock in the damn thing. So I'm always trying to never detach myself too much from the spirit of the actual people, because they know something, even what they don't think they know, sometimes by the way they act. Now, again, part of it is conditioning, keep everybody looking left while they're doing things on the right. And even the president of Ukraine was an actor. You know what I mean? So,
like Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan was an actor. So where do we draw the line to think what's real, what ain't real, what's REAL versus what's REEL? And, you know, I would always speak about these two reals, and now they have seemed to merge, And I tell people, real people can die in a fake movie. So just because you see bloodshed does not mean it was an REAL, event. It still could have been an action, but to actualize the event in your subconscious mind, you need to see blood, and it just further on, solidifies the joke that we're playing here. You know what I mean? So, for instance, when I look up in the sky, I received some videos of UFOs that look legit. Some of them look legit, and everybody makes a joke out of it. It to the point where they can be literally flying in our mix, but because we're so conditioned to be entertained, to think everything is a joke, to think everything is funny, this is what happens. This deep fake situation has created a whole nother level, because when tapes are released from Epstein's Island or whatever of real things, you're going to laugh at it because you're going to immediately say, through the conditioning, this is deep fake, man. This ain't real. And those celebrities who pulled those things off are going to continue to live their lives as they have currently living them, because they were able to cast just enough doubt in your head of what's real and what's not. So this is the greatest trick being pulled off, is that we don't know what's real, REAL, and what's real, REEL.
If you don't know who to vote for between me and him, you ain't black.
You ain't black.
Right? Like, you ain't black. Like, I'm not going to tell you any plans. I'm not telling you any policy.
No policies.
I'm not telling you anything other than that. All I had to do was go on a hip hop station and say this.
And Hillary Clinton came on and said, I got hot sauce
in my purse.
In my purse, ladies. Come on, girl. Come on, I'm like you.
Right.
No policy.
I got my Chucks on. I used to listen to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And
Kamala Harris talking about I was puffing.
Right.
I was puffing, listening to Tupac, and we did the math and said that's humanly impossible when you was in school. See? So, you know what I mean? So this is where we are with this. And it's hard for me to get young people to really just hone in, because everything is a joke. Everything is funny.
I looked at the wrestling, the whole tights and all that situation. Like, we looked at it, but Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he became the governor. He was going to be the president. You understand? Like he was going to be the president. I was like, Jesse the Body Ventura was somebody's governor.
Yes.
He went from tights to being somebody's governor. You understand?
Absolutely.
What I'm saying? Like literally these things happen right before. You see what I'm saying? Hip hop got his first councilman. Shout out to Do It All. You see what I'm saying? Like, literally, like, these things are there. So with the whole situation with that, I'm looking at the other thing. Like, okay, like, literally, you could go from the entertainment industry to president. Like, that's done already. It's already been done. And
look at Donald Trump was on a reality show himself.
Right.
You're fired. Whatever.
He said you're fired, like Vince McMahon would tell people that you're fired.
Absolutely.
The same, like he's there, like, oh, this is the game. Like, this is how you do the game. Like, okay.
And those same dudes who were going against him used to party and bust down bottles with him and put them in rap songs.
Right. I can reinvent myself.
Yes.
We was the Hulkamaniacs, and then there was Hollywood Hogan. We hated Hollywood Hogan. All of these things happening right in front of you. They don't have to change people. It's one person. You see what I'm saying? I could be Mankind. I could be Dude Love. You understand? These are personages that can change right before your eyes. So in the industry, I could be Nasty Nas. I could be Esco. I could be Nostradamus. I'm not changing who I am. I'm just changing the reference to me. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm changing the reference and I'm changing the reverence.
And I'm uploading a new avatar.
Right.
Or I'm upgrading my avatar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To fit the circumstances as need be.
Yeah, definitely. I know we only got a few minutes left. I know we got some things to do. I don't want to keep you too long, but I just wanted to
I'll take some questions or, whatever the case, you know what it is.
All right. So we got We got a comment in from my brothers over there at No Ideas Original Podcast. Great place. Uh, I'm sure they would love your commentary over there. Breaking a small piece of the pie was a recruitment tool for their army. Now we have our own gatekeepers that are double agents.
That is a fact, because a lot of times we're looking at the open enemy, which we understand who that is, but there is a so-called closed enemy that we allow to get very close to us. The word close and close, the same word, right? Close to us. You know what I'm saying? That we trust, that we let our guard down, and these be the ones who screw us. Perfect example, the last 2 years, if you pay attention of how many came out and told you to do something that was foul for the sake of a few extra chips, is all I needed to see. How many people came out and said, nah, I think we need to fall back. Kyrie Irving, maybe a few more, and we need more research, or how many people remain silent, which is just as worse. You know what I'm saying? See, hip hop, cash rules everything around me. Cream, which is now corporations, rule everything around me. All of these, they have sucked up all the voices. Hip hop used to have an independent spirit about it. Shout out to KRS One and Professor Griffin, a few of the pioneers who still have independent voices, but most of them have signed, and the money now means more. You know what I mean? So if Pepsi say, you can't say this because it's not in a line with our product, you have to shut up. Even though you know the spirit is telling you, I need to get out in front of the people and say this or say that. So I believe that the next uprising, the real uprising, is going to be against the elite. These young people are going to figure it out. And I mean, the gatekeepers, the ones who are close to you, are going to get it first, because they're going to realize, dude, you sold us out a long time ago so that you can sit high on the hog. You were the one who they conferred with when the rebel rousers was raising up. You are the one who come out to quell things in nature. So we are at war with more than just what is considered an open enemy. We're at war with a closed enemy, or a close enemy, pun intended.
Definitely. I wanted to ask you two other questions that I received. What's the percentage of those who prospered from the industry versus those who didn't, quote unquote? You see what I'm saying? So if we got 40 million black people in America, quote unquote, whatever that number is, and 4 or 5 billionaires from the hip hop industry, is that properly proportioned to, or like how do we deal with that? And then the second part to the question, do we owe us reparations? Rolling that into the hip hop industry perspective.
Great question. Dr. Claude Anderson spoke about our economic base from 1865 to now. And it confused a lot of people because they look out and they see these homes, these Bentleys. But what he was saying is our percentage of economics in 1865 was 1%. Now, let's look at hip hop. Let's say the first 5 years, hip hop only generated, let's say, $10 million. And we got 10% of that. So we made $1 million. But now hip hop is multi-trillion, and we still getting the same 10%. It's just that the 10% looks greater because the proportion is greater. So now we see that 10%. It's not as $1 million. It could be $150 billion, but it's still only dispersed over 10%. And I use that number purposely because the Boule were the talented 10th who were put in place to give off the illusion that all of us were doing well. And it's just 10%. It's 10% that they can put in place that you are looking towards and saying, I want to be like them, but the collective of our people have not moved. And so Dr. Claude Anderson is 100% correct when he speaks about percentages. We didn't get a greater percentage. It's just that the percentage overall grew exponentially, and that same 10% now looks greater on paper. So a few more people got a few cars and a few extra trips, but the main majority of the people hasn't moved. And in terms of, do we owe us reparations? We owe ourselves everything. You know what I mean? But until we deal with what's in front of us collectively and take back what's ours. So we were getting into this debate a few weeks ago about, well, Jamaicans, the founders of hip hop, were Puerto Ricans. And I just was like, okay, that really shouldn't matter. We don't own it. So I don't care who participated. We don't own it. And because we don't own it, we are all in the same pot. I don't give a damn who said they started this or started that. At this point, we're coming to the so-called 50th year of this cycle of hip-hop, because, you know, hip-hop is nothing new. This cycle, and we still don't own it. We own just as much, you know, collectively, we own probably about 10%. Now, with the new era of digital marketing, and the potential is there for us to take advantage, but before we can take full advantage of that, we need to up our knowledge of technology and this, so we can still take full advantage, because they always get 2 and 3 paradigms ahead of that. That's what Apple Music was about. That's what Spotify Music is about. That's what all of these music, so that you get lazy and go, let me just put it on Spotify. You know what I mean? Or let me just put it on Apple, when we can create our own streaming service and keep every single dime. And you talk about Jay-Z tried to do that, you know what I mean, to a certain degree. I give him credit, but, you know, we're conditioned a certain kind of way. I even started my own cable show once, but people just came to YouTube because it's what they were used to. So we have to not be afraid to, you know, take on these challenges, but it's a multi-layered attempt, because hip-hop has generated trillions of dollars. So yeah, hip-hop, if they owe us, and we owe reparations, we owed so much money, it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? So I hope that kind of answers that question, you know, to a certain degree.
I love it. I just wanted to ask. I should have asked it in the beginning, but you know how the melanin works. It'll cycle back around. So I wanted to ask about if we could get 2 or 3 substantial claims or pieces of evidence that you would present, you know, for the case for reparations owed to the Black community.
Okay, I would say the fact that we own no record labels, which is the first phase of packaging what it is that we, you know what I'm saying, produce. When it comes to royalties, look at all of these artists selling their catalogs, you know what I'm saying, which a catalog is something that should be passed down from generation to generation. All of the mainstays of music, fashion, culture, movies, they still hold a monopoly on, which means we can't get this to the world at the rapid rate that we would like to get it to the world, with our stamp, our signature, our vibration, our message, our love connected to it. So we hit those glass ceilings. Jamaica just said, and they put out a statement, they're banning music with violence, and you know, because it's gotten so bad. Now, you don't want to stunt no one's creativity, but everybody can't be thinking violently without it being a part of some kind of psyop. That's the point. When we go back to the 80s, we had a balance. We had Cool G Rap. We had Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. We had De La Soul. We had Poor Righteous Teachers. We had a balance of music, because our story is multifaceted. So I'm going to say the fact that we don't own enough of it is proof that we are owed it, because we're producing, we're the manufacturers of everything you see: language, culture, religion, our walk, our talk. And they have found a way to, no part of who we are goes digestible by somebody else. So it's our language, our music, our dance, our fashion, our organs, our melanin, our body parts, our sexual energy. So every portion of who we are, somebody is trying to take advantage of and leech onto. When we realize we are the ultimate commodity, then we will begin to see the results of that hard work and labor. But as long as we are the ones out of the dirt and they are the ones running the conveyor belt of our life by selling our culture back to us, and only the portion that benefits them. We didn't even get into a spiritual realm of what they're using our energy for. That we'll save that for the next time we meet up. So it's crazy.
So reparations would be in the form of what type of compensation?
Ownership. They're not going to give us anything back, in that sense, because if they gave it all back, now we're cooking with hot grease. You know what I mean? But ownership, and the ownership is going to come by a few saying, all right, enough is enough. I'm willing to sacrifice Balenciaga and so forth in this. I'll be the sacrificial lamb to wake you people up to go, wait a minute, we need to start owning. Once we start ownership and take back what's ours and stop signing our nature or signature over to the ones who are doing what they're doing, we control the reparations from that point on. You know what I mean? So we have to be the ones to say, nah, I need ownership. Because then nobody's going to cut us a check because they don't care about us. And they're going to claim, well, I didn't make you sign that contract, which is technically correct. So we kind of walked ourselves out of our ownership and, sovereignty in that sense by signing these contracts.
Yeah, I think that's correct. That was speaking with Tracy Lee, hip hop's first entertainment lawyer. You see what I'm saying? He had so much of the business. He got the business, so much of the business that he left the business and went to law school and came back, as an entertainment lawyer. You see what I'm saying? So dealing with that type of entertainment contract law incapacitated. You see what I'm saying? What sort of educational background or what sort of space, should folks who want to navigate in the entertainment industry or the hip hop industry, as a subset, what kind of information do they need? Where should their focus be in regards to that?
That's a great question, because the ones who got beat are beating people, hurt people. So, and if you took any kind of oath, not to reveal, then I can have all the information, but I got to kind of share it in a roundabout way and have you walk through the forest and figure this damn thing out. So you almost have to remove yourself from the process, be on the outside looking in, and make an assessment on what do you see? What do you see? Dick Gregory said, when you put these glasses on, you can't take them off, and you have to see the world as it is, not the way you want it to be, right? So forget how you want it to be. You have to see it for what it is and say, my people need a level of education that teaches them from the ground up that independence, you can make it. It is the way to go. Let me show you how to read these contracts, because the contract hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. There's somebody in the comment mentioned the 360 deal. That means now own if you take a shit and it's worth money, we want in. So, we have gotten to that point. It's because we started getting a little smart. You see, when Dame Dash and Suge and Jay Prince and them started saying we want to start our own distribution because that's where the biggest piece of the pie is. All of them got brought up on charges. That was suspicious. But in the event, they was like, we know these people are constantly evolving, with understanding our hustle. So now we have to go to another level of the hustle. So the 360 deal, you can't sell t-shirts, can't sell hats, can't get a Pepsi deal, can't get a movie deal, can't sign a shoe endorsement deal without me being in. Only because I loaned you some money. You got all the talent, you doing all the work because I loaned you some money that I know you can't pay back because your level of education won't allow you to pay it back. So I own you forever. That ain't right. That ain't fair.
So back to the label question, you look at like a Donald Sterling, when he got caught on the recording saying, you see,
absolutely,
he's like, yo, like you, like I pay these people, you come to the games and blah blah blah. So from his owner perspective, he's like, I'm giving you a decent wage. You see what I'm saying? Like you're not doing this for free,
Yep.
Or what are some of the kind of pitfalls that you see? Because you can look at the argument holistically without sensationalism and without emotionalism that can be provided to the other side, looking at it from a counterbalance.
Well, their goal is that if they pay you, do your job. And on the surface, that is correct. But what I'm saying is stop thinking you need them. That's the problem. Because, I say this every time I get an opportunity to speak, they don't need to control millions. They need control over one who has control and influence over millions. And the same job gets done and you don't see their hand involved because it looks and appears like it's coming from a genuine place. So I would rather pay this individual who will do as instructed anything he wants to keep those people in check, making sure they buy my liquor, making sure they buy my sneakers, making sure they're watching my movies, making sure they're getting these shots, anything that goes with that. You know what I mean? So the game is played on a chessboard, a multiple level chessboard, a 5-dimension level chessboard, to have you think that it's coming from a genuine place, and it's not. So we just have to do the knowledge. That's why we don't do the knowledge radio, so we can plant seeds so the next generation can be smart and go, why would I do that? When I have social media, I got my own following. Like it's this rapper named La Russell. I don't know if you've heard of him. Young brother who's doing his own thing. He's independent. He's selling stock into his projects. So when you make an investment in his project, as that project grows, you grow. He turned his backyard into a concert hall. So when he give concerts, you can come directly to him and they cut the middleman out. So he's a young guy too. So he's finding innovative ways to go, I want to keep all of my money, because here's the thing. You can sell 1 million records and be broke, or you can sell 40,000 records at $10 a pop or whatever the case may be, and you sitting on 400,000 racks in your pocket that you can do something with. So don't allow the platinum status and the videos and the women and all that stuff throw you off. That ain't where the real money is. I want a bigger piece of my pie than to have a platinum plaque on my wall and I ain't got no money. Get me 50,000 sales, and then being able to put music out when you want to put it out. So let's say every 6 months you drop an album. Every 6 months you stay in touch with your true fan base. You have little giveaways, and you sell 50,000 every 6 months. You mean you can't live off? You so enamored by the glossiness that you can't live off $1 million a year? This is where we've gone. This is where we've taken this, simply because Instagram making you think that these people are richer than they are, and they're not. So we got to look at things and seed money to do other things. It's an open field for us now. Even Leo Cohen got on the Breakfast Club and said that this week or last week. He said this is the greatest time in music ever because you don't need anybody. And for him to say that, Mr. Lior Cohen, for him to say that is telling you exactly it's you and your brand and your music and your fan base. What do you want to do? Take full advantage.
That's what I'm talking about. So the last thing I want to talk about before you go is Urban X. The phenom, okay? The phenom. Because, I look at people's list and it's like, hey, who's the top 5 podcasts and blah, blah, blah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, when I started looking at it in reality, away from, some of the spaces, hip hop hasn't influenced a media market in another manner. In some cases, it's therapeutic. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, it's very therapeutic to see and hear, some of the people we grew up listening to and quote unquote idolizing, be able to articulate themselves in the space of intelligence and delve into different things and, have a sort of social responsibility in regards to, no, we're not taking this quietly, we understand what's going on and we're speaking out against it and creating spaces for other brothers and sisters to speak out with it in a practical manner. So these are, one aspect. But as we look at the other aspects, it becomes another subset of hip hop where the corporate sponsorships come in and seep in and get you to distort the message. So now I'm listening to you do what you do, but you drunk, you high. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, so all of these other aspects are there. So do you really get away from it or to it? So Urban X provides us a space of righteousness that goes back to what's most important. All the years we've been watching Jay-Z, like I watched Jay-Z's interview with Kevin Hart. I said, this is the most coherent I've ever heard him. You see what I'm saying? Even reading the books and listening to him rhyme and things like that. He realized, he didn't tell me, but this is me inferring. He realized that family is most important. So bringing it back to this family space, creating income and time freedom for his family and his future legacy.
Yes.
Sight unseen became something of importance and a priority for him. So it's in his walk, it's in his talk, it's in his deal, and how he deals and whom he chooses to deal with. Too. So it's not chasing the bag anymore. You see what I'm saying? It's not ending up in the bag, chasing the bag anymore. So it's like I have the space where I can say no.
Yes.
I can say no, like, nah, that's not it. You see what I'm saying? I'm good over here. And if I hear something from a young person I want to collaborate with, I can just go hop on it.
Yep.
No money. I don't even have to. You see what I'm saying? I can just hop on it. So what does that do? So I want to kind of round it out and bring it home with, Urban X, the Urban X vision, the Urban X team, the Urban X dynasty, I call it. You understand what I'm saying? I used to call it the Dot Dynasty, and then I got smacked in the mouth because everybody don't be playing like that. So the Urban X family dynasty, share with us the greatness.
I really appreciate that. And what happens is I sent Jay-Z an open letter. You remember, I wrote him an open letter when he had his first daughter to say, welcome to the father-daughter club. And we have a responsibility as men to make sure that we protect our women. And I see a difference in him from that standpoint. He almost looked like a goofy soccer dad, you know what I'm saying? Which is cool. Here at Urban X, we get a couple of opportunities. You know what I'm saying? People have knocked on our door, so to speak, to ask us, do we want to play? And my thing is this. I have to say what I need to be said, what needs to be said at all costs. Now, that doesn't mean I won't, I know how to code switch when I get on certain shows, because it's how YouTube work and things. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to be owned by people I don't believe in. That's it. And I watch these podcasts, and once the corporations seep in, their lingo changes. You know what I mean? Because the message is a little bit more about, curtailing it to their advertisers, and that's cool. I don't want that. So we don't get a lot of followers. Our message is for those who know that we're here. And if you find us, you are going to find a gem, a father and son sitting down, building, sharing, learning together, a wife who's behind the scenes handling all the unseen things that need to get done, etc., etc. And the platform allows me to share my opinion. I'm not always right. As you know, if you watch my show, they starting to call me fake news, and I'm losing it a little bit. But it's honest, it's pure, and it's transparent. And I want to keep it that way at all costs. You know what I mean? So that we don't ever get compromised. Now, and that comes at a price too, because you know you're trying to raise a few dollars here and there, and everybody, not everybody, a lot of these people want it for free. And I'm like, okay, but if you want the integrity that comes with it, then guess what? You know, you got to help us keep the lights on so that I can show and prove to my son and my wife that this is something that they don't have to go back into corporate America and deal with that beast. Shout out to what's that show? Gilly and them just got $100 million deal. Gilly and Wally.
$1 million worth of game. Yeah,
now it's $100 million worth of game.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this and that, and they down with some corporate entity that they connected with, and shout out to them. And I get it. You know what I mean? So we have to wait for something that just speaks to us. If an all-black company that really believes in us approaches us and they want to help us move this to the next level, and Dot is going to have the freedom to share my thoughts, I could be in. But until that time comes, it's us in this grassroots environment with so few followers that I damn near know them all by name. You know what I mean? And we're going to work it, and we're going to ask you to buy a T-shirt from time to time, or a book, or a membership. And that's the way it is, man. And so I'm happy about that I built something that you know people can come to and know that my opinions are not bought. These are not bought opinions. These opinions are ours, and you can like them or not like them, but at least you know that they're ours. You know?
That's a fact. That is a fact right here. I think I see Uncle Tad in the building. Shout out to Tad.
Peace to Uncle Tad. Yes, sir.
Understand Thorough Black Talks on OG Podcast on. Y'all brother Che Black in the building. You understand? Like
Che, what's good, Che Black? I see you.
These are all the family members that
Lord knows was in here earlier. Yep, I know what it is.
So many of our family members coming through, converging on what's being built. So it's a beautiful place, you know, to be able to support our families and see one another on the elevation. You know, y'all made the decision to transition off YouTube and, you know, do your own thing. Push the black magic, the blue magic, the dot magic, the dot dynasty, the Urban X magic over there. You see what I'm saying? With that, what was kind of the catalyst with that? You know?
Again, having to tippy toe around creating a whole nother language just to operate within YouTube's space. You know what I mean? Because as much as we speak independence, we're still relying on these spaces because this is where our people are. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you come in the trenches, but they was giving us strikes and you said that and you did that. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to, I come from Bobby Hemmett and Phil and, you know, they just spoke their minds and you took it for what it was. And so while I do know how to code switch when necessary, because I am a distinguished gentleman of sorts, I want to be able to bring it in a certain vibration. And I felt this war on so-called free speech, which we get confused. Yes, speech is free, but not on their platforms. That's all they're saying. They're saying, yeah, go on the street corner on a soapbox and you can say whatever you want to say. But we have our guidelines, and it's designed to make it seem like it's for everyone, but it's really for those who are bringing an alternative level of information that's against the nonsense that we've been programmed to hear on a regular basis. So I went private. We still utilize YouTube. We'll put a few clips up, you know what I'm saying, from time to time to let people know we didn't just totally vanish. But if you want that raw, uncut show for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, you're going to have to come over to urbanx.nyc and give us $5 for the month. And I've seen some memberships that go all the way to $200, and no knock on that, but mine's is $5. It's a cup of coffee, or $50 for the year, because it's not, I'm not looking to you to get me rich. I'm looking to you to help me keep, because we do 3-4 cameras, post-production, pre-production, switcher boards, lights. There's a lot going on here. You know what I mean? And I'm doing it that way because I'm always telling my son, you have to prepare, you know what I'm saying, for that moment. You know, you never know when that moment is going to come. So prepare all the time for the moment. So when the moment happens, there's not a great transition into learning how to operate within a business structure. Prepare for the happening. That's the term I use. Always prepare for the happening. When Kobe is out shooting 500 jumpers, you know, a night, he's preparing for the happening. So in the game with 13 seconds left and they draw something up, he's already done it. He's prepared for this moment. So we run this structure like it's business, because it is. We're on time when we can be on time. You know, we use professional equipment. We edit. We try to carry it that way so that if somebody does come along, a Black-owned enterprise, and say, we like what y'all doing, we don't have to be retrained into how to conduct ourselves in a corporate space, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. I know y'all got an extreme sale going on. You understand what I'm saying? So tell us about the sale.
Yes, we got
let
the
people see what we got going on over here. I'm just loving it again.
ShopUrbanX.com. We have 30% off everything in the store right now. And if you spend $100 with us, you get it free shipping with that. You know what I mean? So that's what we're doing. And we got a sale rack with stuff even cheaper, a virtual sale rack. You got to just kind of go through the virtual sale. It might be a one-of-one or something that is discontinued, but it's in there. And it's shopurbanx.com. Spend $100, you can get the free shipping. And that's what we're doing right now. And we've been having great support. We're going to run that to the end of the month. So, you know, if you're interested, you still got time to get in and show your support, and we appreciate it.
Definitely loving that. Final thoughts for the family as we close out.
I love you guys. I truly do. This is a labor of love. I respect you. We really appreciate the people who tune in for what we do, because your time is your currency. And so we never try to take it for advantage of it or take it for granted. We live by the 4 L's on my show: live, learn, laugh, and love. And that's the energy that we want to push forward for you. And, you know, it is what it is.
No doubt. Social media, as if they don't know. That's why they're here.
Black Dot 1 on Instagram is Black Dot 1. Of course, YouTube is Urban X TV. My Cash App is the Black Dot, one word with the $ symbol. Facebook is Dwayne Bowser. That's my government. If you want to tune into me there. So, you know, that's what it is. Malcolm has a new channel. I'm sorry. Urban X Academy on YouTube, because now he's pivoting off. And for those who are interested in business, because I tried to do it with him, but I was looking all goofy, sitting there, you know, in his lane. And I just said, dude, you got to do your own thing. Right. So now he's pivoting off and he's interviewing young entrepreneurs and he's sharing what he's learned, because he's learned a lot over the last 5 years. So if you're interested in a podcast, YouTube channel, membership, writing a book, or t-shirt, those are the 5 modes or mediums of things that we do. And we started from the ground up. Urban X Academy on YouTube, and at Instagram, Urban X Academy. Yep.
Definitely. I definitely thank you for your time. You know, it's always love to be able to see you. And I couldn't start this sitting. There's nothing that I start without, you know, hitting you up first
I
to
appreciate
come
it.
through because, you know, it's always love in real life and in real time. And, you know, the time that we have physically is short.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So, given the opportunity to show love, to collaborate, to them 4 L's that you mentioned. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
literally, you know, if I couldn't say it to you now, I look like a sucker in my heart. You know, coming to the spot where you say, "Yo, I'm saying like, yo, me and Doc." You understand what I'm saying? Like, nah, we did it in real life. You know, we collaborated with each other in real life in a strange place overseas. You know what I'm saying? Like
Nonetheless,
all of
yep.
it, we did it, and we're coming up on what the 15th or the 14th year
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah.
So we'll be back around. You know, so hopefully next month I could get with you. We could come back and you know we discuss one of those pivotal
Always. You know,
moments
we
of
got
my
to do
life.
that.
Yeah.
And a little bit more relaxed. We'll just be talking,
Right,
and you know
right,
how that go.
right,
You know how that go.
right. And I have my $1 million worth of game.
Yes, sir.
Think, drink,
Yes, sir.
transcension. You know what I'm saying? In that celebration mode. You understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Yes, because it's love. Love to you, love to the Dot Dynasty, love to the Urban X Dynasty, that family of yours that is phenomenal. You see what I'm saying? I still got my other rifle for my niece. Like I wish. You understand? Like I wish. You
Yes,
understand?
sir.
Like
Yes, sir.
I'm that crazy uncle. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's right.
Amongst many of us, seen and
Yep.
unseen. You see what I'm saying? So like, don't get that twisted. But love to you, man. Love to the fam, man.
All right. Peace.
Peace. All right. That was the Black Dot. I mean, we starting this series off. Does the hip hop industry owe the black people reparations? So we're gonna have that. Going to get a hold of some other people. So just stay tuned to the family. Thank you for everybody coming out and supporting. And if you like what you heard, subscribe to the show. We got 3K for 3K initiative here. Just want to share that really quick before we go. The link is in the chat. You know, we're here raising funds to continue to do what we're doing in the community. So we got our GoFundMe initiative right here. As you can see, it's legit. You know, we're not going to Mars or Pluto or any of that. Like we're here in our community where we work and where we live, seeking to combat recidivism, seeking to combat homelessness, domestic violence situations, and giving our young black people a chance. You know, our youth from the ages of 7 to 18, we have a program that we're working with at-risk youth to help them transform their lives, to see that they're bigger than their circumstances. And from the ages of 19 to 35, because just because you turn the age does not mean that you have the awareness and wherewithal of what's going on. So between the ages of 19 and 35, I call them the wonder years, we have a program to help them strategic plan. So from the ages, you know, on purpose, between the ages of 7 and 35, we have initiatives and programs where we help our youth and our people help themselves. So we want to offer that free of charge. So by initiative, long term to being money, some kind of vice or some sort of punitive situation, you know, is a myth. You see what I'm saying? So we're there 5 days a week. We've been doing it since the beginning of the pandemic. So we're just out here doing what we need to do, and we would love your support. And if you want to support Through the Knowledge Radio, we have the Cash App here available. Cash App, $ knowledge won't allow, or paypal.me / Through Knowledge Radio. So We'll be back on Monday with hip hop's first journalist. Our brother Bones Malone will be in the building. So we're going to continue this trajectory and continue to move. So with that, say peace and love, Black Power. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. Night in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to the
motive
gritty
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.